there is probably one person whose arrival makes your shoulders drop. You may never have put it in those words, but your body knows. A door opens. A name appears on your phone. Someone says your name a particular way, and something in you stops bracing. Not because they've solved anything, because they've arrived. Take a moment. See whether a face turns up. As a psychiatrist, I've noticed something about how people tell me the story of the worst year of their life. They almost never remember the year. They rarely remember what anybody said. They remember a person, the one who sat in the corridor, who kept calling after they'd stopped answering, who came without being asked and stayed long after everyone else had gone home. Years later, the crisis has blurred. That person hasn't. Today is Friendship Day, and most of what you'll see today will celebrate friendship. I'd like to celebrate something slightly different: closeness. Because friendship is the label, closeness is the experience, and they aren't always the same thing. You can have hundreds of contacts, dozens of friends, thousands of followers, and still feel completely alone. And one trusted person can make an unbearable week survivable. So, why? What is actually happening when someone walks into a room and your body decides it's safe? "20 years ago, researchers put people inside a brain scanner and told them something unsettling. During the scan, they might receive a small electric shock. Predictably, the regions that handle threat became more active. The brain got ready. Then somebody held their hand. Not to stop the shock, not to remove the danger, just held it, and the alarm went quiet. But here's the part worth sitting with. It didn't go quiet equally. The stranger's hand helped a little. The hand of the person they were closest to helped considerably more. And within that group, the better the relationship, the further the threat response fell. Now, I want to be accurate with you, because this study gets quoted badly. It was done with married couples. The hand belonged to a husband, not a friend. So strictly speaking, this is research about marriage. But it produced an idea that reaches much further. It's called social baseline theory, and it goes roughly like this. Your brain was never built to face the world alone. It evolved expecting trusted people to be nearby. So when they are, it spends less energy watching for danger, because it is quietly assuming somebody else is helping carry the load. Which gives us a sentence I think is worth keeping. Some people become part of your nervous system, not as a compliment, as a working arrangement your brain has made without consulting you. When they're near, you spend less on protecting yourself. When they go, you pay full price again, and you usually can't explain why you're so tired. Imagine a drug that lowered stress, improved recovery from illness, protected mental health, and was associated with living longer. It would be the most valuable medicine on Earth. One of the largest reviews ever conducted on this, nearly 150 studies, more than 300,000 people, found that those with stronger social relationships were around 50% more likely to be alive at follow-up than those with weaker ones. A caveat, because it matters. That is an association, not proof. Studies like this cannot fully separate cause from effect. Illness can cost you friendships just as easily as friendlessness can cost you health. But the pattern has held across decades and across very different populations, and it is not a small effect. So your friendships aren't only making life better, there's reasonable evidence they're part of what makes it longer. Which brings us to the question this film is actually about. If closeness does that, what builds it? Why do some people become home, while others stay acquaintances for 15 years? Decades of research on close relationships keeps arriving at the same place. Not charisma, not shared history, not how long you've known each other. The first thing is being understood. Notice I didn't say agreed with. You can disagree completely with someone and still leave them feeling deeply understood. Researchers call it responsiveness, the sense that another person listened, followed, took your experience seriously, and cared. It sounds soft. It predicts well-being years later. And it's built almost entirely out of small sentences. I can see why that hurt. That sounds harder than you're making it sound. Tell me more. Which may be why we remember the people who listened to us long after we've forgotten the people who impressed us. That's the first way somebody becomes part of your nervous system. Here's the finding that surprised me most. Most of us believe friendship is proved in crisis. Who came to the hospital? Who answered at 2 a.m? Who stood beside us at the funeral? Those moments matter enormously, but they are not the strongest predictor of whether a friendship survives. Picture telling two friends the same sentence. I got the job. The first one smiles. Congratulations. Well done. And the conversation moves on. The second one stops. Wait, when did you find out? What did they say? Have you told your mother? When are we eating? The first friend acknowledged your news. The second one entered your happiness. Shelley Gable's research found that how people respond to your good news predicts relationship quality over and above how they respond to your bad news. Caveat again. Most of that work was done with couples rather than friends. But think about your own friendships, and I suspect you already knew. We're trained for sorrow, and we go shy around joy. Sorrow asks for sympathy. Joy asks for something harder, generosity. Celebrating without comparing, without competing, without steering the story back toward ourselves. So if you take one thing from this film, take this. When somebody gives you good news, don't end the conversation with congratulations, begin it there. Ask the next question. Stay 30 seconds longer than necessary. That's the second way. Now one we get badly wrong, and I think we get it especially wrong here. We're taught that asking for help places a burden on other people. So we carry things alone and call it strength. I didn't want to trouble anyone. It sounds like consideration. Very often it's loneliness wearing the mask of independence. Because people don't only need to be supported, they need to matter. Researchers call it exactly that, mattering. The belief that you are significant to someone, that you would be noticed if you disappeared, and it predicts mental health separately from how much practical support a person actually receives. Think about your closest friendships. They almost certainly weren't built by one person always giving and the other always receiving. They were built because both of you, at different times, We're allowed to be needed. So sometimes the most generous thing you can do for a friend isn't helping them. It's letting them help you. That's the third. And the last one has no shortcut at all. One study estimated it takes roughly 50 hours together before someone begins to feel like a casual friend. Around 90 before they're a friend. And more than 200 before most people would call someone close. Caveat: those numbers came largely from students and from adults who had recently moved cities, and they're self-reported. Treat them as a shape, not a law. But the shape is the point. Closeness isn't chemistry. It isn't luck. It isn't finding your people. It's hours, ordinary, unremarkable, badly lit hours. Not the trip you keep planning, the tea you actually had, the walk after dinner, the phone call about nothing in particular, showing up again when nothing is happening. Maybe that's what home really is, not a place, not even a relationship, just the quiet certainty that somewhere there is a person you don't have to perform for. At the start of this film, I asked you to think of the person whose arrival makes your shoulders drop. I want to end somewhere else. Because somewhere out there, somebody is doing the same thing about you. Someone carries a version of you in their head and leans on it, and they have probably never told you. And that place inside another person's nervous system was not given to you. You built it. Without noticing, out of small sentences and second questions and hours that felt like nothing at the time. So on this Friendship Day, I don't think the useful question is how many friends you have. I think it's this: whose shoulders drop when you walk in. And if the honest answer today is nobody yet, that isn't a verdict. It's just a number of hours you haven't spent. Ask the next question. Let somebody help you. Stay 30 seconds longer. Be the one whose arrival changes the room. Happy Friendship Day. Take care of your people.